Hello everyone. In today's video, we will look at how to graph slope-intercept equations. First, we need to know what is the form that puts the equation in a slope-intercept form. Well, a slope-intercept form is a way to describe a straight line, a form of an equation of a straight line given its slope and the y-coordinate of the point where that line intersects with the y-axis. And that together will give us the equation y, which is a variable, equals to m, the slope of the line, times x, another variable, and then plus b. And again, b is the y-coordinate where that line intersects with the vertical y-axis. Now, how can we, from a graph of a line, come up with the equation in the slope-intercept form of this line? Again, we need to remind ourselves of the form. Y equals to mx plus b. From this form, we know that we need to learn the slope of the line and also learn where the line intersects with the y-axis. Well, the B is easy to look at the graph and just point at the location or the point on the plane where this line intersects with the y-axis. So this point for this line is 0 and 7. And this is where the line intersects the y-axis. For the B, we need only the 7, and that would be the B, the y-coordinate of the point where the line intersects the y-axis. So far, we know the B. The B is 7. So far, the equation looks like y equals to mx plus b. Next, our job is to find the m, the slope. How steep is that line? And to do that, we need to use a formula that calculates the slope of a given line. And that formula is m, the slope, equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This formula means that we need to learn find 2 points on that line, and each point, of course, will have a y and x coordinates. We need to subtract the y's and then divide over the difference of the x values, and that will give you the slope. From the graph of the line, we are able to locate other 2 points on the line. You are able to use the y-intercept point here as one of your points. But let's do another 2 points and use them for the slope. One of the points that we are easily can locate on that line would be the point 2 and 3. So that is 2 and 3. Another point we are able to find directly from the graph would be 3 and 1. And that would be 3 and 1. Since we need the y and the x coordinates in our formula, it is a good idea to label the coordinates as y2 and y1, x2 and x1. So let's do the labeling together. So the first number is always the x. So let's say that this is point number 1. So that would be x1 and y1. For this point, that would be point 2, x2, and y2. You can switch. You can call this point 2, and that will be x2 and y2. And in that case, that will be point 1, and this, in that case, will be x1 and y1. Now, for us that we did label the coordinates, it's easy to plug in the values in that formula of slope. So y2 is a1 minus y1 is 3 divided by x2 is 3 and then minus x1 is 2. All we need to do then is 1 minus 3 will give you a negative 2. and then 3 minus 1 will give you a 1. Negative 2 over 1 will be negative 2, and that is the slope. Now we know the slope, we can put the equation together. Y equals to negative 2, which is the times x, and then plus 7. This equation defines the graphed line. And this question is for you to try. Let's read the question together, and then you're able to pause the video, do the problem, and come back for the answer. Write the equation of the graphed line in slope-intercept form. Before I let you do the problem, let's remind ourselves of what is the slope-intercept form. Y equals to mx plus b. You're able to pause the video, work on it, and come back. Okay, let's do the problem together. So we need two pieces of information for our equation to be in slope-intercept form. One is the y-intercept, two is the slope of the line. So the y-intercept would be the easiest one of these to find from the graph. And this is where the line intersects the y-axis. And this is our line here in black. So it seems that the line intersects the y-axis at point 0 and 6. And from this point, we need the y-coordinate, which is the b that we're looking for. So far, the equation is y equals to mx plus 6. The one missing information that we have is the slope. Again, you are able to use this point as one of the 2 points that you will use to calculate the slope using the formula, or we can locate another 2 points on the line. One of the points that I see is easy to plot on the line would be 1 and 1. Another easy point to look and directly plot on that line would be the 2, 2, and negative 4. Since we're using the formula for the slope, m equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, it is always a good idea to label the coordinates. Let's assume that this is point 1, so that will make it x1 and y1. That is, of course, then point 2, x2, and y2. Directly, we can plug in the numbers in the formula. Y2 in this case would be a negative 4. Y1 would be the 1, so it's a minus 1 over x2 is 2 and then minus 1. Do the subtraction on the top. Negative 4 minus 1 is a negative 5. And then over 2 minus 1 is a 1. Negative 5 over 1 is a negative 5. And that is the value of m that we need for the slope-intercept form. So the equation that describes this line would be y equals to negative 5 x plus b, which is a 6. Now, what if we are given the equation of the line in slope-intercept form and we're asked to graph the line? So again, we're going to do the backwards of what we've been doing so far. To do that, we need to look at what information this equation gives us. One piece of information that will be helpful for us is the y-intercept. And I'm saying that because we remember that to graph a straight line, you need at least 2 points that we know that this line goes through. One line from the equation is the y-intercept. One point is the y-intercept point, which is, this is a B, then that will make it a 0 and -3. So one point we are sure that the line goes through would be the 0 and -3. So 0 and -3 will be 0 and -3. I'm going to plot that point here. We need a second point. Now the second point we're going to get from plotting a random value of x in this equation. We evaluate the expression and that will give us the corresponding y value. So let's say we will pick x, any random value. I'm just going to pick 1. So fx equals to 1. Then what happens to the y? I'm going to know the information by plugging in the 1 in the x. So 8 times 1 minus 3 should give us the corresponding value of y. 8 times 1 is 8. Minus 3 will give you 5. So that tells us that when x is 1, y is 5. And that together will make us write the ordered pair of the second point as 1 and 5. So 1 and 5, 1 and 5 would be here. Let's see if we graph the line, what would it look like? And here is the line. So we basically connected the 2 points, and that would give us the straight line that this equation describes. The next problem is another practice problem. We can read the problem together and you can have your time, do the problem and come back to the video. Graph the equation y equals to -3x minus 9. I noticed that the equation is in the slope-intercept form. So what information I am able to get from this one equation to be able to graph the line? Remember, we need 2 points that this line goes through. Okay, let's do the problem together. One information I am able to directly get from the equation, since it is in the slope-intercept form, is the y-intercept, where the line intersects the y-axis. So this point is just from looking at this point, or this part of the equation, it is a 0 and -9. So right away, I'm going to plot this point on the plane. So 0 and -9 will take us here. So this is the first point that this line should go through. The second point, I'll figure it out by choosing a random value for x, and plugging in that value will give me the corresponding y. So let's try and use x equals to 1. I like working with 1 because it's easy to work with. So if x equals to 1, then what happens to the y? Well, the y equals to -3 times 1 minus 9. -3 times 1 is a -3, and then minus 9, that will give us minus 12. So the point is when x is 1, y will equal to 12, and that will make us the second point 1 and -12. Plot the second point on the plane. So it's a 1 and -12. So 1 and -12 will be right here. We have 2 points. We can easily connect the line with an edge, and that will make us the line that this equation describes. If you have any questions on this video, you are able to email, chat your brief questions, or schedule an appointment with an instructor or teacher assistant using the link below.